the teacher goes up to Sky and he goes, okay, Sky, so you carry the 2 and then what do you do? And then Sky stands up very slowly, dramatically. Like it's
Yeah, so once you carry the 2, you just add the 2 sides together and make sure to keep 2 sides even.
Go to the nurse. Get out of here.
Everyone in the room's ears are bleeding.
Yeah.
See, you were the smart one. You got tea before we recorded. You cleared up your throat a little bit.
A little
so you didn't have
bit.
to do that.
Emphasis
I have,
on a little bit.
cold orange juice, so I'm gonna. It's nice, but I'm still gonna be like you're gonna finish a point, and then I'm gonna go yeah. So basically, what I want. Yeah, sorry, what?
Sky will have this important life message at the end, and then it'll just be like, and so whatever you do, make sure that you.
Yeah, make sure that you're plugging both ears before anything that I say. Golly. So, we wanted to talk to you guys about what it's like being content creators and what we learned, because I've been at this for, let's see, ever since January 2014, and it is now September 2020, so you do the math. And how long have you been at it for?
Well, my channel anniversary is coming up in a couple weeks, because I started, my 5th anniversary actually, I started September 24th, 2015.
Wonderful.
So.
That is
wonderful.
Yeah, so we've been at this for a while.
I can't believe it. I've been married to myself for 5 years.
That's sweet. Mazel tov. So we wanted to talk about why we started way back then, stuff we learned, stuff we were taught, little anecdotes, and the all too relevant dream of being a YouTuber. We talked the other day about monetizing your hobbies and making it a full-time thing. So you know what? This is a good segue. I like this very much.
Absolutely. We all grew up, I feel like, in this generation with this notion that being a YouTuber was like this wonderful career, a steady job that would, be truly the best outcome. It would be such a wonderful opportunity. And while that's all true, mm-hmm. I think we've, as we've grown up, we have seen that YouTube is not a sustainable career. And, but I like to think about how the dream was sort of a motivator, though. Because without that, we wouldn't really have been as inclined to get our channel started.
Yeah, so take this as the opinions of 2 guys who have learned a lot from YouTube, really loved making YouTube videos, but don't really do it for the purpose of pursuing that dream. Because, I think that dream is the epitome of doing what, if you do what you love for work, then, you're not working a day in your life. I think being a YouTuber is the best example of that. That's why it's so sought out. It's working from home, doing what you love, not having to work a day in your life. And yet, it's not quite so simple or easy. But I wanted to start this by establishing what we actually do on YouTube. So I started out as a Let's Player because I just wanted to... I was motivated by a lot of Let's Play channels like Nintendo Capri Sun, Chugga Conroy, stuff like that. And I wanted to do the same stuff. So I started out being a Let's Player. Over time, I just tried to become more aware of, how to keep viewer attention. And then I transitioned over to doing live plays, which is just Let's Plays in a live format. And then after a lot of experimentation, I came back, and now my channel is just a mishmash of just a lot of goofy gaming-related content. Some of it's silly edits, some of it's live streams, some of it is I made a sort of Xenoblade commentary video the other day. But it's just a lot of different stuff where the biggest common factor is my goofy, quirky style.
Yeah, there you go.
What about yourself?
Well, for me, I've done many things over the years as well. I started out doing YTPs. And
that's how you started.
pretty much. I wanted to know, the only video editor I had in my possession was, of course, Windows Movie Maker. And I wanted to get a feel for what it was capable of. So there we go. In 2015, first couple months, I was just making a bunch of lazy edits and things like that, just to share to my friends. Then I realized, because I was always a big fan of the Countdown community. So creators like Josh Scorcher, the Altark of Flame, Idionoben, Fawful's Minion, Rabid Luigi, people like that, who had these countdowns. And I don't know how to explain it, but they all sort of had a similar style. It was kind of a community to it. And I always wanted to make countdowns of that caliber when I was young. Now, when I learned how to use Windows Movie Maker, I got started with some countdowns. And eventually I moved on to a version of Sony Vegas. And just to cut ahead a little bit, I worked on a podcast that was aimed to unite PC and console gamers. It was called the Gaming Connection Podcast, where I brought in two veterans of the PC gaming realm and me from the console realm. It was a decently produced series, I guess. At the time, we had about 20 episodes. The views did okay, and not to discredit the podcast or anything, but I kind of see it as a flip note in my YouTube career now. But it was actually pretty good, all things considered. Yeah. I tried a Let's Play channel as well called The Pals with my high school friends, and that didn't really take off. It's kind of a meme now for longtime IKG viewers, which is fine. And then eventually I started to do reviews. I came up with this idea of doing these long-form analyses for the Ace Attorney series, and then I stuck with that, and now it's just something I do for all the games I review. So, for the most part, you could consider me as someone who does analytical reviews, countdowns, and editorials. But I've had a history of, trying podcasts, trying Let's Plays, and all that stuff.
You've had your own safe experimentation, for sure. And you talking about where you started out on YouTube, I wanted to treat this as a small little interview to give you guys a better idea of, where some content creators like us start.
Absolutely.
Where exactly did IKG Productions start with YouTube back in 2015? You said Movie Maker, YTPs, countdowns, but there's a particular countdown you started with, right?
Probably the most embarrassing thing in my entire career, aside from the quote update videos I'll get to in a moment. So my first countdown was an Ace Attorney countdown. Okay,
sounds good. Good.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds fine.
I like Ace Attorney.
I like Ace Attorney too.
We should collab. We should do a collaboration video.
Oh, we'll get to the email. No, sorry, that was a bad roast.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, you'll know what the problem is as soon as I tell you, viewers. It's top 50 Ace Attorney characters. not 15. 50. 50. I spent about a minute. I can't do this.
I love you told me a little bit about this before we started. The character number 50 is like this really this side character who's like a kid and doesn't have any major role in any case, and it's like what do you say about it?
So if I'm known for making insightful videos today, there was nothing insightful about that video whatsoever. I'd spend about a minute talking about a character with this arbitrary list. I mean, what's the difference between 35 and 36? I didn't even know, okay? I didn't even know. So, and I just stole all the footage, and it was just awful. I mean, it was just a terrible
50
video.
Was a cool big number, man. That was motivation enough for you.
I guess. And people actually ate this up. Which is interesting, I suppose. But, yeah, that was my first, major YouTube project. It was split into 5 parts. I released them 5 weeks. So like 1 week would be one part, then the next part, then the next part. Except there was 1 week I skipped. That was fate for what's to come. But after that, though, I did make another countdown. It was my first video using Sony Vegas, and it's a video that has aged quite badly, but it is substantially better, and I have a lot of fond memories with it. It's called Top 15 Metroid Upgrades, and it's in 2 parts. And it's something I actually want to remake someday when I get back into countdown making. I'd like to just remake that countdown. Yeah, it's just, I have a lot of good memories with it. It's when I started to at least attempt to be more analytical with my script. It's when I attempted to have some sort of form, some sort of identity.
Pretty early on, too. That's nice.
Yeah. And then the last thing I would want to say before we turn this question over to you, Sky, is I produced probably about 100 videos by Q1 of 2016. And you might wonder, how? Well, I would upload like 10-second long quote-unquote update videos. See, I didn't understand how any of this worked, and I don't know how to explain this, but I would go home from school as a freshman in high school. I'd go home from school. That night I'd do my homework, and then I'd spend 4 hours on my ancient laptop putting together one text slide where it's just a low-quality image of a game I like a wallpaper or something. And then there would just be this unreadable text in these funky colors that I would spend time writing. And you might say, what are you writing? Oh, I'm writing about plans. But I never, did anything with these plans. And the worst part is, I was using XSplit broadcasting to make these. So no Photoshop, no GIMP, no Paint.net. And that's why it took 4 hours.
Wow. Interesting.
I mean, talk about a waste of time.
Yeah, I think there came a point for both of us when we realized, like, hey, if we're making as many update videos as actual videos, there's a problem.
Yes.
Because I had something similar when me and my good friend Kyle, old partner in crime on YouTube, we started the Mirror Skeptics, which was a collab channel that we both made just because we made so many videos together. It's like, well, we should just make a collab channel so that there's a hub for all that. And obviously, like, we ended up ditching it, because dealing with 2 channels is a lot easier than 3. Not to mention, the first 100 subs are always impossible. And, exponential growth on YouTube, the more you grow, the more you will. And if both Kyle and I already had our own channels, which managed to get out of that pit, starting from scratch is it's not a very pleasant thought. So we just did normal video, update, normal video, update. And it's like, I think there's a problem. There's definitely a problem.
Yeah, and
honestly go for quality over quantity.
Exactly,
that was
Sky.
A big wake-up call.
It was a big wake-up call for actually all 3 of us, but I think I know that it came from a place of wanting to keep our viewers up to date. Unfortunately, because we were so small, and as you said, the first 100 subscribers are the hardest to get, we didn't have social media platforms to speak on, to give, like, updates on Twitter, or even, like, a Discord server or something like that.
That's true. It was
so this was kind of our
throw
answer.
Your video out into the ether, hoping someone will catch on to it. And spread
exactly.
It,
yeah. So it came from a good place, but we ended up realizing it was actually hurting our growth. It was hurting our, image, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. Nonetheless, I was like, okay, I want to be able to collaborate with another YouTuber because I like the idea of making some really cool content with another YouTuber who has about the same amount of subscribers as I do, and being able to, like, once we make that collab, my subscribers will go over to his channel, his subscribers will go over to mine, and it's a win-win, and we each get, like, this really good big boost. That's a very over-idealized idea of how a collab works. Nonetheless, one day I found this guy right here. I saw this countdown he made for top 15 Zelda dungeons, right?
Yeah.
I sent him an email. And I was like, "Hello, I go by the Sky Spire on YouTube.com. I would like to make a video with you, and I'm sure you'll find this as a very positive business venture, as we will be able to share each other's subscribers and I didn't really expect him to respond because this would have been the first time that a content creator has, like, that I would be in contact with a content creator. And yet, he responded. And a while later, we called on Skype, we bonded over Ace Attorney, and I said Dual Destinies is my favorite, and I remember the exact way that you said it's your least favorite, and I was like, what? And then we proceeded to write a little bit of a, like, top 15, like, Mario games or something.
Yeah, we started a document. We started a Google Doc. It was a countdown collab idea of like ranking Mario games. It didn't really go anywhere, but the script's still somewhere.
Yeah, it's literally just a list. I don't think we even wrote that much besides the list.
Yeah.
But I think what the more important thing that came out of that was that we just I had a content creator contact, and that was so meaningful to me because this guy has a this sort of he puts a lot of effort into making his image be very professional and clean, and everything to do with the script writing and editing, it's very orderly, and I was so glad that I got to know him because IKG was my biggest I guess channel that gave me an idea of what it's like being a content creator. I remember I never would have been introduced to Discord without this guy. And little things like how to be more clear about what the purpose of each video is to your audience. I learned that from this guy. And also it was just a really nice little moment getting to see the barrier in between spectator of videos and creator of videos being that line being somewhat blurred. I really appreciated that very much.
Absolutely, and I'm honored that you feel that way. I, from my perspective, when I got that email, I thought it was, it taught me that there are a lot of generous creators out there. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of authentic people there, and so, I was happy to, become friends with Sky, and it's interesting because you can kind of see if you're a viewer of both of our channels, you can kind of see that we haven't really collaborated on things often, and not like huge projects either.
Very one-off.
Not
videos.
that couldn't happen in the future, but it hasn't happened yet, and I think that shows that we just like to work with each other. And we're really good friends, so
yeah, we're not friends.
That was kind of
we're not friends because of our content. Like it's not like
we're
making a series that we have to keep being friends to produce. Yeah, no, it's not like that. I appreciate that.
Exactly. Yeah, like I had you on the Gaming Connection podcast. You came on a Turnabout podcast more recently. I was on a couple of your streams, like Metroid Prime 1. I remember that.
Oh gosh, I do, yeah. And then Mario Party 1. That I do love that series.
Yeah, that was some of the most fun I've ever had on YouTube, honestly. That was just an absolute blast. I'd love like next summer or something to just binge like the reruns of the. I'm serious. It'd be such a cathartic, therapeutic, and just fun thing to do, because those streams, as much as I peaked my mic, those streams were so fun, and that's sort of, I'll get into this later on, but that was around the time where I really started to lose grasp of making content and letting things get the better of me. So having that outlet was huge, and that's why when I think about IKG as like a channel status in 2018, I always say one of the biggest things was the collaboration with Sky on Mario Party 1. It was just absolutely one of the highlights of the year.
And it's little stories like that that always makes my much more casual manner of making videos and my very casual manner of making live streams. It validates it in my mind, you know, knowing that someone else was able to get some respite after the not only your difficulties of like what you should do on YouTube, but also I know that some stuff was happening with you in real life at one point, like right before we actually started streaming.
Oh jeez, yeah.
And like we streamed like right after something bad happened, and I remember you were cheered up by the end, and like at least a little bit, and that made me feel good. That made me feel like, hey, this style of like this interactivity with chat and this like silly game, this very very jank game. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It provided what it's supposed to provide, you know? If you or chat had any like difficulty earlier in the day or anything like that, it provided you that little pick me up, and that's all I really want at this point, you know? So
right,
that validates it. Which I guess I wanted to mention. I of course do a lot more live streams and stuff now. I know the main reason for this is because let me actually bring up something real quick. I wanted to bring up this one stream which means a lot to me. So usually I stream, video games. Duh. Or like talking with chat and stuff. One of my streams though is called Sky in Bed. That's it. And this stream from the very beginning is literally just a live feed of me laying down in bed, reading chat from my phone, and my computer webcam is aimed at my bed. That's it. That is it. There's no there's no catch. That is the stream. Now, here's the thing. People stayed. And I was like, why? Why are you staying? But I talked with them. I chatted with them, made jokes with them. I actually got up out of bed a little ways throughout. And then I sat on the floor, like, looking up at my webcam, so I was a little closer and personal with them. Still reading chat from my phone. And then I was like, man, there's that one homework assignment I need to do where I need to, like, I just need to, like, create a little printout piece. I need to create a little a piece of a fish wearing a skirt so I can then like print it out, and I'm like, so I can use it in a school project. Let me just do that right now while I was live streaming. And people stuck around and they looked at this fish with the skirt on it and everything. And I was like, near the end of that whole stream, I was like, y'all are crazy. I'm not doing what anyone should be doing. This is not how you're supposed to play the game. But I said to them something along the lines of how there are a lot of opinions out there that I do want to get out. A lot of my own takes on stuff. And more importantly, I want to be able to like apply my own style and sense of humor to a lot of different topics. But I don't feel like I would have the motivation to do so if getting an opinion or a viewpoint out there meant script writing for days, editing for days, slogging through footage for days, just to get one punchline on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean.
So I told them, how would you feel if I adjusted my content to not go through, so that I wouldn't have to go through any of that, be that live plays and live streams or podcasts, stuff that did not take hours and days and weeks of production time, but still allowed me to get those punchlines behind the topics out there on YouTube, if that makes sense. Pretty much everyone in that chat said that they would like that, because they see it as a win-win. Because for the chat, they said, like, yeah, it's the most easily digestible form of information by just, like, it being, like, in such a candid environment, like a podcast or a live stream. It's very easily digestible. And And for me, it's not, months of editing time. And ever since then, that's when I started shifting my format, and I'm really happy about that. That Sky in Bed stream is very close to my heart because of that.
Well, that's fantastic. 'Cause that really shows how much, how you've built such a loving and caring community around what you do. And, for them to stick around through you just, sort of I guess a mundane, visuals in a way,
Oh, yeah.
just
Almost
kind of a
passed out.
mundane, yeah, kind of a mundane format, if you will. I know I'm
For sure.
oversaying it, but like it's still, that really tells a lot. And I didn't know that this stream really existed until you just told me, but now I can understand why, or I should say how you were able to make that transition. And I think that's a really wonderful thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's worth noting that, like, for anyone wanting to start out, this is not me saying, like, yeah, you can totally, like, take such a mundane deviation from your content and it'll still work. That's not what I'm saying, because it doesn't work. What the point is, it brought me a lot of satisfaction personally. It was the greatest opportunity to connect with my audience possible. It didn't boost viewership at all. It didn't do any favors, just, sitting in bed. But the people who stuck around, which was the majority of people, they really, they just boosted not only my impression of my channel and my content and what it could be, but also my impression of myself. They said, they gave me the impression that I was able to make stuff entertaining without it having to be scripted, without it having to be authored, and it could just be candid, and I would find a way to make it feel very authentic and meaningful, and that meant the world to me. It really did. Mm-hmm. And I would be lying if I said that that's part of the like here's the thing, that's kind of part of the reason why I want to see just a little bit, I want to see a little bit more like candid content from IKG, just because I know IKG is capable of the same stuff, I freaking love, I've really come to love his very in-depth hour-long reviews, but at the same time, I kind of want to see what you would be like in a live format, or a more candid format more. That's part of the reason why I enjoy these podcasts.
I'm really thrilled to hear that, because I want to as well. I mean, I think you really hit the nail on the head. There's something to be said about just a more candid, sort of on the ball, off the cuff, however you want to say it.
Yeah,
like kind of, words, structure. 100%. And so I want to do that too. I want people to get to know me better, especially because I'm so like infrequent with my uploads, and while I'm trying to get better about that, it's just not working right now. I know it can work in the future, but I'm just having issues with that. But as soon as I can get things going and I get some certain videos out, I'd love to take some time, maybe just once or twice a month, just have a good live stream. I really 100%. Would. And I'm glad that you think that I would be in that, category of having the charisma to do it.
I mean, I was just gonna say, like, man, I can't imagine why you wouldn't have enough time with those 10 college classes you're taking. Why?
Why? Because I was insecure that I wasn't doing enough work. I know it's funny, but
I mean, I get it. I totally get it. I get it, man. That's why, like, for me, I'm taking 2 because I am.
Would you like to trade?
Yeah. Well, no, God no, God no.
You said yeah, no takebacks.
I'll take like 2 off your hands.
Okay.
I appreciate. Okay. I'm taking 2 classes right now so that I can spend a few months like taking care of myself and figuring out not only what I want to do in person, but also online. I want to find some sort of focus, because even though I sound very proud of the fact that my content is all over the place and what I do online, even outside of YouTube content, like random freelance graphic design work, everything is so out of focus, and I sound proud of that. I'm not. I do want to find a way to focus that too, and I like being able to spend so much time on my computer trying to focus that and figure out where to go from here in these 4 months before next semester, the spring semester, when I do want to move to the main campus, like at least do 5 classes and just go all in. That's what's going on with me. That's definitely why this whole content creation thing is more on my mind now, because I know it won't be next semester, because I want to go all in on college life.
Well, it sounds like you have a really good plan. Yeah.
On the other hand, like you dealing with those 10 classes okay?
Not really, no.
Okay.
This is the lowest point I've ever felt mentally in a long time.
Okay.
To be completely honest. I've become more blunt in this year, I've noticed. No, I'm not.
I don't like blunt IKG. It scares me.
My friend Elise was saying, "You're so optimistic all the time, and now you're really down. What's going on?" I'm like, "The world is collapsing." Have you seen the moon is going to crash? Like, this is Termina Field.
Nothing matters anymore except for this German miner. Just leave me alone.
Look, I am gonna make it. I'm gonna be okay. I have people I can talk to. But, oh my god, I'm never doing this again. This was the last straw. This was the insecure part of me. This is the last time that guy is going to have the upper hand. Because I went into scheduling this semester 3.
Uh-huh.
And I said, okay, last semester, I broke down in January. I got really sick in February. Then COVID happened. Slide 2 delayed. Didn't make a lot of progress with cello. Okay, so going into that, we're going to take 15 credits. We'll get some stuff done, and we'll have time. Changed it the next day. I blew it. I totally blew it. But you know what? I might drop the German minor. We'll see. I mean, if it's possible, I have my work cut out for me, of course. But the point is that, and I guess I'm just going to get into it now. Even though we were going to a bit later, I need, and I mean this for the last time, I'm going to need
It's on the record now.
Okay, it's on the record. There's no going back. I'm going to say this. For viewers of my channel, I need to ask you one last time, and I mean the final time, so that I can, oh boy. I need you to trust me that I'm going to get this content out, but for the last time, I'm going to need more time. I'm going to need an extension. I'm going to need...
IKG update video,
Here we go.
September 13th,
Yep.
2020.
If I could just take a couple minutes, I just want to say this year, has been really rough on everybody. I try to be the optimistic person. I have not been successful at that recently. So, let's just say this. I'm having a rough time, and I don't have the time or energy to really work on content, or play video games, or talk to friends. And that sounds depressing, but it's true.
But so it's true. I beat the Wonderful 101 about 3 weeks ago, and that's a game that this guy's wanted me to play for years and years and years, and we still haven't. We still have not talked about it.
We still haven't talked about it.
I want to nerd out about it because I've just finished this game that came out in 2013.
That's what it's bad when you play one of IKG's favorite games and he doesn't talk to you about it for 3 weeks. But we'll get there. But
we'll get there.
It's really just a case of I promised more than I was capable of. I didn't know it at the time, but I'm just gonna do my best, and I think once I get through this rough patch, we'll be clear. but
Yeah, and
just,
you know what?
my mental health is just so low right now when it comes to looking at like how daunting my Sly 3 timeline is in Vegas.
By the way,
I
Sly 3 is a big video that he has planned.
Yeah, I cannot bring myself to work on it because I already spent like 11 hours doing straight work on school anyway. So I don't have the energy to do it, so I gotta get sleep so I can do the 11 hours all over again. So, look, it's gonna happen. By God, I'm gonna make it. It's just, I'm sorry, I have to ask for more time.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like viewers would be literally anyone, not even viewers of your channel, literally anyone would feel like this is valid, not solely because, oh yeah, your mental health should be taken as priority, but also logically, how would you be able to balance 10 classes with a multiple hour in-depth analysis video? That on its own in a vacuum doesn't sound plausible in an efficient, timely manner. I think that alone is validation that you're fine.
Well, I have had a track record of being very responsible and sticking through to my plans generally, but that has always fallen through the cracks with YouTube, and so you know, that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
But
and you know what, if you don't mind, yeah, I do want to talk about that later, the whole idea of your plans and the transparency with them. I do 100% want to talk about that like near the end.
okay.
But I wanted to touch on something that I think a lot of my viewers might be wondering. If you've ever seen IKG's videos or the thumbnails for them, you'd notice that they are like 4 hours long, 3 hours long. And I don't know if you guys are in this position, but back when I first back when I first saw these videos, like in my sub box, or would be browsing through his channel, or thinking I should watch one of these, I know back then I was apprehensive because it is the opposite. It looks like it's the opposite of the easily digestible content that we are so used to on YouTube. And when I say like, hey, check out IKG's channel, in the back of my head, I'm thinking some of you guys may be like how I used to be, where it's like, oh, you look at that timestamp, or you look at how long the video is, and it's like, I can get away with not, spending 3-4 hours watching this one video. That's a really long time to talk about one topic. And I just wanted to hear it from the man himself. Why are so many of IKG's videos so long?
Sure, yeah. So I'm in a part of a growing community of people who are analytical critics. We like to look at games, television, movies, music in a analytical light, break it down, make conclusions, give opinions, and things like that. So the reason a lot of my videos are long is because there's a lot to say about the topic. And that's really all it comes down to. There is this stigma that a long video is not a concise one. However, that is actually a fallacy. Concision really has to do with how precise and how truncated, I guess, the material is, so that you're not wasting time. In other words, the topic is not overblown and everything is condensed. There's just a lot of it. So I like to think of it like this. And the people at home can do this. So take your hands and kind of put them like in a fashion where they're both facing horizontally, but put one above the other. So you're kind of making like a little stack. Yeah, like a little stack of something, as if you have like paper like in between your hands.
Okay, yeah.
So let's say that this paper is really thick. Let's say it's like 3 inches thick, and then try and make that with your hands. Wow, that's a lot. That's not really concise. Like that's a lot of just words, rambling, a lot of unnecessary stuff. So let's
repetition.
Yeah, a lot of repetition. So let's put all that together. Okay, you got a huge stack. That's a 4-hour video right there. Is it a good 4-hour video? Probably not. So now take your two hands and put them like on top of each other horizontally as if they're barely touching. That is concise material. What I said about Chapter 7 of Slide 2 is very concise right there. Now what I want you to do is make your hands very wide apart, But picture that the amount of paper stacked are that thin. That is a concise 4-hour video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's how we look at it. The script needs to be concise, but it can be lengthy depending on the amount of content. This
For sure.
This has the result of doing a few things. One, it makes it flow no matter how long the video is. And two, it makes it in-depth. And so basically my rule is I will say as much as I need to say about a given game while being concise. And then however long that is how long it is. So
And I think it's worth noting
that works.
Yeah. I think it's worth noting that some reviewers out there, the reason why... Because I was just thinking, like, your reasoning was that there is just that amount of stuff to say about a game. It's like, okay, I mean, yeah, that's true. Like, there is a lot of different departments that work on a game in many different ways, and there's a lot of different direction that goes into it. Why don't other reviewers do that? And, you know, the more I think about it, the more that I realize that a lot of reviewers touch on either the story very in-depth and then everything else, be it the gameplay, the music, the art direction, everything else is, you know, very surface level initial impressions, you know? None of it is, right? Or another content creator may go very in-depth on the gaming aspect of it and talk about game design. Everything else is very shallow. I feel like a big difference is that you choose to go very in-depth on the story and talk about the writing, talk about the gameplay, how all the different gameplay styles and aspects and control schemes and everything, how it flows, how it works, the animations that are the animations that are tied to the gameplay. And you're a music major, so you have the credibility to be able to talk very in-depth about the music. You can have like a whole separate section dedicated to it. I think it just comes down to that. You consider yourself qualified to be able to go into depth on all these different aspects that goes into a game, where as a lot of other content creators will choose one particular aspect as their field house. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, while the length in the video may be different between, say, how long I talk about the story versus the graphics, I try to give everything an equal amount of attention, and I try to analyze everything equally, like you were saying, without leaving something out or cutting something down or neglecting something, because I feel like I have the knowledge to talk about all these things at length, and I feel like the result is a more complete sort of analysis. Not the objectively perfect analysis. That's not what I'm trying to say, but it's a more complete, in-depth look at everything. Sometimes I say it's a head-to-toe assessment. You know, it's all the parts getting analyzed. Nothing gets through. You know, it's got online multiplayer. Okay, boom. Oh, music. Boom. Animation. Boom. Graphics. Boom. Sound design even is something I'm starting to incorporate more. It's like, how do I think about sound design? You know, what is good sound design? What is bad sound design? You know, things like that.
Good design. Bad design. You know what I'm referencing?
Yes, I do.
Yes. But yeah, no. Sorry. No, yeah, and I feel like I should state for my audience, he doesn't repeat. He doesn't go into, like, asinine repetition in his videos. It is a very good amount of new, like, information.
Believe me, I hate repetition.
Yeah. I wanted to, while we're talking about his YouTube channel, let's delve into the real heart of this podcast series, the real heart of Life of Screens, you know? I wanted to ask you, have you ever felt the need to hide your YouTube channel from IRL friends? Have you ever felt the need to hide your Life of Screens from schoolmates and whatnot?
The answer is yes, but it's a little more complicated. So, for me, my most trusted friends, I tell them about it. Usually, they could not care less. So, there you go. My online friends all know about it because we all kind of come from the same place anyway.
Sure.
When it comes to just, like, classmates and some friends I'm not really in touch with as much, or people I know just really wouldn't care about it, I don't bring it up. I don't mention it. Although I have done a few sly things in the past that I find notable. I think, Sky, you would really enjoy the story, so I want to tell you it real quick.
Tell me, yeah.
So, when it comes to hiding it from other people, because I will admit, it is kind of embarrassing if you can't really explain it. It seems, kind of nerdy, and, it's something
I'm a
that...
gamer.
Yeah, like, it's something you'd want to be able to trust they understand the value of it before you tell them. So I was in a group of music friends from college that I just know, or at least I would estimate, wouldn't care for it. So I never brought it up. But then someone had a question about game design. Like someone had a Switch and they were playing Super Smash Brothers. And these are like real casual people. Like, they're not gamers. And they, one of them was like the really like smart girl. One of them was like the guy who does like no work. All these cliches sitting in front of me, and I'm watching them just play one of my most played Switch games, and someone's just like, but why would they like do the Smash Ball like that? And I go, I don't know. I wouldn't know the first thing about game design. And nobody batted an eye. Nobody looked at me. It just completely flew under the radar, and I felt so proud of that.
I do like that very much.
It's like, I don't know. I would. Oh, and I've done that before. With someone on Discord. I was a voice chat in someone else's server, and it was the same sort of thing. Like, they were criticizing this piece of music in Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions for whatever reason, and they were just like, how could they botch this so badly? And I said, I don't know. I don't know the first thing about music. I know I shouldn't be doing this because it's tied to ethos and like to the ego as well, but it's just so funny to me. I don't know.
It is pretty funny. It's a little funny. Literally, if
it feels like you're you know what it
Yeah.
feels like, Sky? It feels like you're hiding in plain sight, and that can be really sad and also really fun depending on the context.
No, I mean, it's fun. I mean, the thing is, it's only fun for you because no one else gets it. It's one of those jokes.
Yeah.
But, like, and that's why, like, if I were to do that, I would, like... Okay, so someone else would say, like, oh, why would you, like, get the Smash Ball, or blah, 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 why would you do da-da-da? I would very, very casually and quickly state something that's like has to do with game design or some very, very smart answer and make it clear that I know like more than I'm letting on, and then say, but what do I know, and leave.
Oh, that would be funny. Yeah, that's a good spin on it.
So that is very sly, though. I like that.
It's like, well, they make sure that it moves so that when you hit it, so that the other player has an opportunity to see it. But what do I know? And then just walks out.
Yeah, something like that, for sure. I know that I definitely hid my YouTube channel from people in school because I was the quiet kid at the back of class. I didn't really integrate I wasn't really integrated into any community or friend group at school. So I didn't want my first impression to be that guy who doesn't talk to people because he's too busy tending to his 60 subscriber gamer channel. And not to mention, like, I knew my budget was very low back then. I didn't have a mic. I used the desktop mic. I didn't, like, blah, blah. It was gross. And I didn't want that to be people's first impressions of me. Problem being, it was very hard to keep that up, because everything, my Twitter, my Gmail, my Instagram, my Snapchat, the usernames for all of them is SkySpire. And for all of my friends, it's their names. So it's really awkward when, for a broadcasting class, the teacher wanted us to create a Twitter group chat.
Oh, yeah.
And I was... So I joined the group chat, and, it's not weird until you look at the list of people in the group chat, and it's like everyone's actual name and their on Twitter is their actual names. And then you have this one SkySpire guy with a fan-made anime avatar, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that makes you kind of want to Google this guy and see if there's anything behind him, and that is the nightmare. I'm like, no. Don't go.
That
There's a
would
rabbit
be
hole.
really embarrassing, right?
That's a rabbit hole, man. That's
Yeah.
not just like, oh, I like games. No, that's a rabbit hole of like all the videos I've made over the blah blah. That's my life of screens.
Yeah,
And
I want viewers to know that, like, those of you who have not made content before, unless you're really big or you have a huge ego, you don't really, like, a lot of YouTubers, we're not, like, the only ones who feel, like, really embarrassed when it kind of gets out. We don't want it to get out to like, a general audience. You would think, like, oh, wouldn't you be proud? Like, look at your video editing skills. Well, that's not, I don't think that's, what they would think. I think they would judge you for what you're making in a negative light.
Yeah,
And I've had that thing, Sky,
yeah.
because my Snapchat, has, like, Christoph Gavin 3 in it. And it's like, well, if someone had a question about it, I don't really know what I would tell them.
You could. So thankfully, like, you've changed your channel, like, name and stuff like that, so they can't Google Christoph Gavin 3 and find you.
Right.
I hope.
Wow.
But someone watching this video is doing it right now. But at the very least, you could at least say, like, it's a character from a thing I like, It's
Sure.
a character from a game or movie that I like. I don't know. Thankfully, I have now made a personal Twitter account, a personal Gmail account, so I never have to go through that. You can change your handle on Instagram, and I only use my Instagram for personal stuff. I don't use it for anything relating to online friends or online life. I want to have at least one outlet to the outside world that is solely my IRL life and doesn't acknowledge my life of screens. So that's my Instagram. You can change the handle on that, but you cannot change your username on Snapchat. And that endlessly bothers me, man.
Yeah.
So every day I just kind of, every time someone adds me from my Snap code, I'm like, don't ask. And no one's asked, thankfully. No one's asked. So it's cool. And I feel like if they were to ask, I wouldn't be as paranoid about it as I would be in high school. I think I would just say, like, either I just think it sounds cool, Sky Spire, it looks cool, sounds cool, or I would say that, like, it's just always been my username. But, like, stuff that wouldn't get them to think, like, oh, I should Google this guy now, right? So
yeah,
I think it'd be okay now. It's fine. I actually, now that I think about it, I've never talked about this on Life of Screens, and I'm surprised because in my own house, I have my own way of separating my Life of Screens. Basically, in my actual bedroom where I'm in right now, nothing in my room has anything to do with video games except for my Switch right here. Every single other thing in my room, there's, like, motivational posters, and there's plants, and this computer, my dresser, my clothes, my school work. Everything gaming related other than this Nintendo Switch is in the next room over. So anyone who comes over to my house, I can freely know I can let them into my bedroom without them thinking, oh, this guy is like a big gamer boy and he's a dork and he has a life of screens he's hiding. If anyone were to step into the room right next to my bedroom, they would see the 40 plus amiibo and the 7 like gaming posters and all the games, all the Wii U and Wii games and everything,
Right.
And I'm just surprised I never brought that up before, because it is that is like a literal manifestation of someone trying to divide the two sides of their life of screens. And I'm proud to be able to say that ever since quarantine has started, whenever people come to our house, if I'm comfortable with them, I'm like, hey, you know how I like games? Okay, just, I want you to look at how much. I opened the door and they're like, holy crap, okay, now I know where I'm spending spring break. And I'm like, okay, sweet.
Yeah.
It's just really nice,
It's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I still don't really introduce them to my YouTube channel because I don't want them to go down the 6-year deep and it's a very big rabbit hole, my YouTube channel. It's a whole history of my life since I was 14. So I don't want to like give them that much yet. But like, I'm more comfortable. I'm working on it. I'm getting there. It's cool.
Yeah, we're all working towards, being more comfortable with it, and I think we're making progress there.
Yeah, for sure. I also wanted to ask, when it comes to, the channel image that we're so I guess, paranoid about, either for the purposes of your life of screens or for the purposes of just making content that you're happier about. wanted to ask you, is there anything major about your channel's image that you would want to change? If you could just choose, like, I want to change this one thing about my channel image or my content or anything like that.
You know what? Pretty much nothing. Whether it be from a
that.
life of screens perspective or for content, I've pretty much done everything I wanted to update. The last thing was the channel banner, and I got that done. It's really just a case of now making content to, further establish who I am as a content creator now. But I've got everything. I've worked with you on several assets. I've worked with Travis on several assets, and I'm super happy with how everything looks and the feel of the channel. The only thing I could possibly say, like, if I could just snap and make disappear, it's this notion that I am an Ace Attorney guy first. Now, that has almost all but disappeared, but every now and then I still see people from, like, Ace Attorney Discord server be like, "You're that guy who makes 3A." I'm like, yeah, but did you see slide 2?
And even then, the Shield of Justice, right?
You know
even
what?
Then,
that's a good
Shield
point.
Of Justice.
Yeah.
So, that.
So maybe I don't want to get rid of that, because then
Yeah, you want to keep some of the. Okay, I should clarify. The Shield of Justice is an original animated series that IKG has been making for a long time now, and it's an Ace Attorney series.
Yeah.
It is very ambitious, and the reason I mentioned that is because you do want to keep at least some of your Ace Attorney credibility. Just that label. That you are a guy who's very knowledgeable about Ace Attorney, so that you have that credibility when you can recruit new people and say things about the characters, give your own commentary about what the characters might do in this alternate universe, and
I guess you're right. Yeah. So how about for you though? Is there anything that, because you just had a major rebrand, but is there anything still that you would like to change about your channel's image?
The main thing I want to change, and I'm actually going to make a YouTube community post about this later today. The main thing I want to change is just... Okay, I want to make a YouTube community post later today saying something along the lines of, hey, you choose what I make, vote. Do you want me to do live playthroughs, live hangouts, live challenges? Or do you want me to make a bunch more memorable moments and highlight reels of funny playthroughs me and friends have done? Or do you want me to do a lot more quirky video essays and editorials, like my Xenoblade video or Mario Kart Wii vs. 8 Part 3, which I want to make in the future? Or do you want me to make more meme videos? I would be happy to polish my graphic design and editing skills to make more videos like the Disappointed Kongs or Mario the Dancing King. I love all of these videos, but they're so damn different. And you cannot guarantee that someone who likes a meme video about Mario dancing or Donkey Kong's being disappointed at Ajit Pai, you can't guarantee that same audience will enjoy semi-critical, semi-goofy commentary about video game writing, right? So if I could change anything, I would narrow down what I do. Now, at the same time, I actually, and I don't think I've told you about this before, recently I've also started looking into Fiverr, which is a freelancing website for those who don't know. I started looking into that because Kyle hit me up again and told me that there are some editors out there who quote unquote edit video game content, and it starts at $20, and I think $20 is a rip-off considering all he does is little zooms on the face cam whenever something is funny. Mm-hmm. Like the little face cam in the corner, he just zooms in on that part when something is funny for more emphasis on it. And I'm like, that is the biggest rip-off of all time. Yeah. There's like very minimal editing, and it starts at 20. It can go higher if there's more footage to sift through. And I'm like, that is atrocious. And if that is my competition, then I want to jump in there. I want to be able to make that video game editing stuff. I want to be able to hone my graphic design skills and all that. So I want to start a commission sheet on Twitter. I want to start a Fiverr. At the same time, I've been I've been making art assets for my big secret projects, and it's going great right now. I'd love to show IKG afterwards, actually. We've got some new art assets that I think you'll really like.
Oh, excellent. Nice.
And so that's the big one. That's the big end game thing that we're slowly working towards. And then aside from that, I'm also experimenting with a bunch of different things on my YouTube channel, trying to figure out, should I start live streams again? I want to start live streams again. Can I? What kind of content do I make? I'm very all over the place right now. And the one thing that I hope for is for any one of these things. Oh, I forgot to mention voice acting. Voice acting's always there. I've always been doing voice acting. I just want one of these things to click. One of these things to take off a little bit more than the rest, so I know where to focus my attention. Because they've all been getting the same amount of attention. The initial, reaction, oh, hey, this is a cool thing that you made. And I want one of them to spark and show me that this is something that people want to see more of. Not just something people want to see on its own, So
I think that's a fantastic idea. Mm-hmm. That's going to help focus. I mean, that's going to help you creatively. That's going to help focus, your channel's identity. So yeah, absolutely. Keep up that good work.
100%. It's just, unfortunately, that's a waiting game to see which one takes off. But I mean, we'll see. I'm happy. I'm happy to wait it out. I have college stuff to do in the meantime, and I have my secret project to work on in the meantime. So I'm happy with waiting. I am. But speaking of waiting. I know earlier we were talking about how you were on this time crunch for we called a while ago about deadlines regarding videos and stuff
we did. I went to Sky Spire for some advice. Really.
And he had all these videos that were basically everything was getting pushed together in terms of schedule, and I wanted to ask you formally about either that production schedule or any other production schedule. Have you ever had a very nightmarish time crunch before? Or is that your definitive nightmarish time crunch moment? And if so, do you want to elaborate on it, or is there any other nightmarish time crunch that you've had to deal with?
There are a couple of things I can mention. For one, 3A number 2, which is my in-depth review of Ace Attorney Justice for All. That came out in 2016 in December. It was supposed to come out in November, and I said, okay, by Christmas, it's coming out. The problem was that it was nightmarish because I finished the video, but my computer was so bad it couldn't render an hour and a half video all at once. Oh my goodness! At 1080p, and it was crashing, and it took. So here's the thing. It took 9 hours for that piece of crap to render 1.5 hours of video. So every time it failed at the end, which Vegas didn't tell me until the end, that was 9 hours wasted. Repeat that about 7 or 8 times. And I was stuck. So I said, Jay, and God bless Jay from Jay's Reviews. He's helped me so many times when I've been caught stuck between a rock and a hard place, and he took the 2 halves I gave him and he rendered it for me. Fantastic. Thank goodness for that.
That's good to hear.
It was a nightmarish time crunch for technical reasons, and that was tough. There's also been ones with creative issues where I'm having writer's block or things like that, and that was the Sly 1 review. That was a few months late, but I think this goes into a great question that you posed to me, which is time crunch really necessary for something like YouTube, where it's not our career? And while this goes against what I'm struggling with now, I'm going to say, no, it's not necessary. It's not actually necessary. And I know, like you were saying, we talked about this recently, and the only reason I feel I'm in a rough spot is because I had an optimistic view for 2020 before the year went the way it did, and I also had an optimistic view for what my schedule would look like. And I said all that in an update video, and I promised things that I simply, at least some of it, won't be able to deliver at the time I said it would come. So that is where I think time crunch becomes somewhat necessary. Obviously, you do have to take care of yourself as much as I'd just rather make the videos. But overall, I would say no. Do not place unnecessary stress on yourself. Having goals, though, to release content at certain times is a good idea, though. You just have to know your limits, and that's something that I'm learning currently.
Yeah. I don't really I can't say I've ever noticed when this happened. It was a very gradual thing, but I've definitely reached a point where I am learning to well, the word that was thrown at me was self-love. And I am very hindsight's 2020. I see that in 2018 I did not have self-love. I am so glad that I am on the opposite side of the spectrum. Even though I feel like only taking 2 classes right now and being very slow with content, not making live streams like I promised to in a revival video, I know all that may seem like, oh, I'm doing crap right now. And I feel like the reason I'm still happy with myself is because I know that I would be infinitely more miserable if I did the alternative, if I was doing all those things at the same time and then having to spend a semester in spring recuperating from a semester in spring doing a lot less work because I'm having to recuperate from a stressful semester, as opposed to what I'm doing right now, where I'm just doing very little work to be able to build myself up and prepare myself with a positive attitude during my, hang low time. So I'm happy with doing that.
Well, I'm proud of you, because for me, it's very easy to be uncomfortable with myself when I fall through with YouTube plans. Again, it's that one part of my life I never seem to just get right, because I'm always promising the world without accounting for, roadblocks. And to be fair, a lot of, this year was out of my control with, how school changed and affected me and how I got sick and all that. I had CV, it's like, it was a rough time, but I always hold myself accountable when I know I'm learning. At least I, shouldn't always do that. The fact that you can say, okay, I'm taking a lighter load at school, I'm not working on as much content, and I'm doing it so that I can focus on myself. And the fact that you don't feel at least very guilty about it, maybe only a little, maybe not at all, that's great. That's where I want to be. But I also want to achieve my goals to an extent.
100%. No, yeah. I'm definitely not completely guilt-free, because I know that the main reason that I felt the way I did in 2018 was because I was so constantly exposed to, okay, all the friends that I had were all the people with the exact same mindset, which is if I am ever just hanging out and not doing anything at all, then I'm wasting time that I could be using to do something productive. That was the mindset of every single one of the friends that I had. So I was 24/7 exposed to that mindset. And anytime I was just hanging out, doing my own thing, taking things slowly, and using time that I could be making content or schoolwork to just relax, I felt like crap.
I see.
Being constantly exposed to that, I think, was one of the litany of reasons why I came out of that not the best. And that is why one of the simplest to understand reasons I'm so happy that I've been hanging out so much more with Nakaishima, because she has the opposite viewpoint. Her viewpoint is that your productivity doesn't determine your worth, and that has been infinitely more comforting for me, infinitely.
I hope to be able to convince myself of that at some point.
It takes time. It takes so much time. It took me 2 years. It takes time. I will say, though, that whole story of you rendering the Justice for All review reminded me of this, because there was all technical difficulties. There's this video on YouTube of this guy having to submit his SAT, and he clicked the submit button on his SAT online, and it wasn't going through. It was loading. It was this buffering thing. There were 2 minutes left, 1 minute left, and it was the most stressful thing ever. He started recording his screen. Imagine that stress, because it's out of his control. It's just if it loads and submits, he's recording his screen, and if it did go in either a few seconds or like a minute or two before the deadline, but like,
oh my gosh,
he was waiting there and just waiting for it to actually submit. And as the time went down, like, you felt his pain. Like, oh god.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's what that reminded me of. Completely out of your control, man. Tech issues are the worst because you have no say in when they happen or how to fix them. It's
exactly, and that's why they're frustrating.
That's why they're frustrating. That's why that is, if anyone was wondering why I haven't been live streaming, that's the reason. Because my computer constantly disconnects from my internet. And I don't think it's very engaging for a live audience to be in a live stream if every like half hour or so the streamer's like, hey, just like typing in chat, hey, stay for like 2 minutes. I'll be back. But believe me, please stay. I know there's like literally no reason you should stay. I'm not here keeping you entertained, but please stay. That's miserable. The problem is, I don't know if the problem is my computer, if it's my internet, if it's my router distance, if it's my internet plan, if it's our internet provider. Like, it could be anything. How am I to know, right? That's what's frustrating about it. So
yeah.
Chalk that up to another one of the reasons why my the direction my content is going is so unfocused. But I'm working through it. It's all right. It's okay.
I wanted to bring up some other notable memories that we've had making content, and like, I know you have some. You already mentioned like Sky in Bed, and you kind of touched on Mario Kart Wii versus 8, but I know there's something else you want to mention. For me, like, Turnabout Podcast was very therapeutic for me because it started out very humble. I have to credit my friend Isaac Vyers, Batman11838. He pretty much came up with the idea. I said, you should do an Ace Attorney podcast, like once a month, have different guests on it. And I thought that was a really cool idea. Hey. And so we just did it on the fly, like really like bad mics and editing. And it was just like the first episode is terrible. That's why I always say start with number 2, the one where I did JFA versus TNT with Jay. But no, it was still a fun episode though. It was on the fly. I was just literally in a Discord call. Sky, I was literally just in a Discord call with Isaac, and Isaac and I are having a good discussion about Dual Destinies, and we're like, podcast, let's do it.
Neat. That's
so I have to thank him for that because it turned into something great. The first 6 episodes I did, and Sky, you were on the 6th one.
I was.
And it was good. And then I stopped for a bit to do some main content, and then I brought it back, and I did 7 through, I think it was 12 or 13, and then I did 14, 13-ish through 20, the rest later. So it was in like 3 seasons, if you will, and it was fun because it was a project that was greater than myself. It was a project in which every podcast, whether I was friends with the person or not, met them before or not, I got different guests on who wanted to speak and be able to have a platform to speak on the Ace Attorney series. And I never had a bad episode. Never once. Every time.
However, this is no bakery.
Yeah, Sky was always really fond of the description hook because I referenced PO versus A. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a scene.
I'm
in
glad
the game
you still like that.
It's hilarious to me. Basically, there's a scene in the game where Phoenix Wright, he always goes like, objection! Well, there's this one part where he goes like, welcome! As Professor Layton walks into a bakery, and he like slams his hands on the table, and like a bunch of like flour dough like puffs up into the air. And it's just the funniest scene. So the description of his videos is, welcome! However, this is no bakery. This is an Ace Attorney podcast, blah, 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 blah. And I just thought it was always the most charming, funniest thing ever.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's great.
Yeah, it was just a blast. It took a lot of work to, schedule all the podcasts, especially those who are overseas. But we worked it all out, and it's there. The playlist is public. The videos are unlisted just to reduce channel clutter. But it's always going to stay there. It's a nice project that had a sense of community to it, and it was a big success. It was really great.
I'm really glad to hear that.
Oh, thank you. I also want to mention, I've had a few videos become quite successful, and by far the most successful review, not countdown, although I'm very grateful for the success of the Zelda and Kirby ones, my Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon review is almost at 10K views.
Bless. Can we get a
which
clap?
is just excellent, because that video is one I still think holds up really well, despite how long it's been since I made it.
Those are the best videos, when you're not making a video to keep up, but when a video ages incredibly well. That's the best.
Yes, exactly. I go back and I'm like, wow, you know, that was, you know, like, I need Owen Wilson to go like, wow, like, it was, seriously, it's like one of those just, wow. Wow. Wow.
I'm glad you have a wow video. That's always great.
Thank you.
That might be my Xenoblade video. That might be. Right now. That might be the video that I'm like, hey, this is the video.
All right, we're going to stop this live stream screen. I'm going to go on YouTube, click the link, and just go, wow.
I like that.
Look at that gag he did.
Wow. If we're talking about our most successful videos, I'd say success is a very subjective term when we talk about my most successful video. Already been down this road a lot of times, so we're not going to go too in depth. But Mario Kart Wii versus Mario Kart 8 was a video that I made to talk about the why I think. Well, just compare a lot of aspects of the game, heavily in favor of Mario Kart Wii, not researched at all. Terrible mic. I screamed a lot for some reason because I think screaming equals comedy. And it was not good. And also I made that in August 2017, and then December 2018, it got viral. Why? No one shared it. It was YouTube's algorithm. I still have yet to understand why. But ever since then, golly. Have you ever seen this, the YouTube channel Mayro? Mayro? I know he does Mario Maker and Mario Kart videos.
I've seen a few of his videos, yes.
Apparently, yeah. So, a mutual friend, Avery Alex, is actually friends with Mayro. And Avery asked him, have you seen Sky's Mario Kart video? And he's like, oh, you mean like the one where he just screams a lot? Yeah, I've seen it. And I'm like, oh, great, man, great. Geez. But I redeemed myself in his eyes, so we're fine. It's just, golly, knowing that big YouTubers have seen that video because it has over 1 million views, I'm like, oh boy. And it's always making me think, like, I wonder how much of my audience is just Mario Kart fans. I wonder how much of my audience is actually, like, inactive accounts from 8-year-olds. I really have no clue anymore.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Could be anything. I really don't know. And obviously the revenue from that video was nice. This is not me gloating about it because none of it goes to me. It goes to our savings account. But it was a... I don't even know if there's any lesson to be grabbed from that. It's just, it was so odd, and I want to make a Mario Kart Wii versus Mario Kart 8 Part 3. I made a Part 2, which is a joke video. I want to make a Part 3, which is a take two on comparing the two games. And the script that I've written so far is fantastic. I'm very happy with it. It's just that it's reminding me of why I didn't want to do script writing in the first place.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Exact thing, right? Because it's like, okay, I'm doing this to make a statement. Wait, oh my god, the months of work I'm gonna have to do to make one statement. And I'm back there. So I've taken it. So I've.
It's all gone full circle for Sky.
No kidding. It's crazy. But everything bad has something good come out of it, because that video went so viral that this one random YouTuber, Avery Alex, made a debunk video. And this debunk video, I never even watched it. Maybe I told him I did to make him feel better. I never watched it. But because I don't want to hear... I've never watched my own video ever again. And the main reason I didn't watch his video is because my video is in there. Like, he uses clips from it. I hate listening to my prepubescent self. So... But a bunch of friends watched it, and they gave me feedback on it, and they're like, it's not that bad. I'm like, dude, it's about Mario Kart, it's bad. And the day that I made the revival video, a man named Avery joined the server, and I'm like, no way. No way. Is that the Avery Alex? So
the guy who debunked the video.
Yeah. He's had a bit of a small reputation of that one guy who tried to debunk my video. And
now he's here.
He's here. I'm like, I'm gonna take a piece out of this boy once I get in VC. Right before I do that, though, my great friend Pine, she told me, because she was calling with him, she said, he's actually pretty cool. He's actually pretty chill. Like you can get in there. It's fine. Apparently, he joined the server, like, hoping that no one knew he was, like, that Avery Alex. I joined. The very first thing I say is that Avery Alex? He's like, God damn it.
And then he turned out to be the nicest guy.
He turned out to be a fantastic guy. Yeah. The most unexpected of friends. From the most unexpected of places. I'm real happy with that.
I mean, you guys were basically like that movie poster for Captain America Civil War where your two heads are facing each other before you met, and now, like, look at what happened.
Yeah, for sure. While we're talking about, like, funny little
Captain
stories
America Civil War, never mind.
While we're talking about, like, funny little stories of how we met people, this one's, like, infinitely shorter. I just wanted to say, back when we talked about how the first 100 subs are incredibly difficult, one of my first 100 subs was someone you may have seen either on live streams or definitely if you've joined the Discord server, Quant, who's a fantastic friend. He is a whole brother figure. And he was one of those first 100 subs. What you need to remember is that when you are a content creator with 100 subs in 2014, 2015, there is nothing about you, nothing charismatic enough about you or memorable enough about you for people to want to stay for that long. I made a Discord server in 2017 and he joined it. And then we became so much closer. How rare is it that someone who's, so disconnected from you, like we never had any, like, real talks together. How rare is it that person actually sticks with you for, like, 6 years to the point where you guys become such close friends? Like, wow.
It's a very special thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that Quant has been there for so long, because I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like the first 100 subs, again, it's like you kind of said, it's a very disconnected sort of interaction, but you guys have become great friends, and he's a really great guy. So I think it's great to know that from the very beginning, you've always had people who really care about you, and that's really awesome.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's crazy because whenever I make any content on YouTube and I collaborate with someone, I always make a point to only collaborate with other content creators, so it doesn't feel like I'm like right now. Because I don't want it to seem like I'm just... Because, I feel like if someone were to see a video of me featuring random person's name, the video would have no identity. I just grabbed some random friend, right?
Yes, right.
And I don't like that at all. So I only collab with, like, my 3 content creator friends, which is IKG, Kai, and, like, Dangani. Like, those are my only... And I have a few others. But I've treated Quant as the one exception, just because of that very long history he's had with the channel. I'm like, no, he's relevant. I would consider that relevant.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's fair to say.
And tie that in with the fact that he's a genuinely good co-commentator on streams. So, sweet. So, I mean, some downsides on this YouTube channel back in the start, back with the Mario Kart thing, but a lot of good stuff came out of it. And even though, like, you and I might not pursue that same, like, dream of making YouTube our full-time thing, we've definitely grabbed a lot of really good some really good connections from it.
And honestly, and honestly, I feel like I'm just getting started.
That's the best
with this hobby. I feel like there's so many videos I want to make, so many statements, right? Like you're saying, that need to be made. So many scripts I want to write, so many topics, so many live streams. I'm just getting started, guys.
That is the best thing.
I just need to find my break, and then I'll be good to go. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I had the original picture saved, but I saw this picture the other day on this thread of, like, motivating pictures, and it's this I wish I could remember the original text. It's something to do with, like, I'm in my mid to late 50s, and I have like just gotten married and I've just gone like skydiving or like skateboarding for the first time. I just started a practice of my own and stuff like that. I've just made like these acquaintances and stuff like that. And the punchline was, I'm just 58, but it feels like my life is just getting started. And
Oh.
that was so sweet to me because it goes back to that whole concept of sociology, the social clock of
Yeah.
how, or rather psychology, the social clock of how we feel like there is always a time that we need to get certain things in our life done by. Like, oh, I'm 28 and I'm not married yet, etc., etc. But reading that post alone, I feel like can dispel a lot of people's worries about that. Because this one guy is so content about the fact that his life is just getting started. He's being opened up to such new experiences at, such an age, and I find that wonderful. So you saying that, being on YouTube for around 5 years and feeling like you're just getting started, that is absolutely wonderful. As someone who, you have a realistic grasp on what YouTube is like. It's a lottery. You know how uncertain it can be, and yet you want to make so many statements, and that is like, what an optimistic view.
Hey, I would be totally happy just to make the content I make and have people like it and barely grow at all. Totally fine.
Yeah.
I feel like at this point, it's been, almost 5 years, and I just, we're just getting started.
No kidding, yeah. Oh, ay. I've, one thing, and I know this is definitely the longest podcast we've done, but I don't really care. There's a really big topic that I also wanted to acknowledge in terms of what kind of content we make. It's something that I've noticed, back, when I was just kind of going through my sub box and I was wondering why I'm not clicking on most of the videos in my sub box. I feel like the go-to thing you would assume is just because, like, oh, you just don't watch these channels anymore, or like you're just not as connected with them. I don't know. I think I'm willing to re-venture back to an old channel that I haven't touched in a while. It's more about the fact that I have become much less likely to click on a video that gives that person's reaction or opinion, mainly because it does not have direct value to me. And I feel like you said that's something you can relate to, right?
Absolutely. I've become a lot more picky with what I'm spending my time watching, for numerous reasons. One, it's just a lack of time, but also a lack of interest in certain things. I don't really care for that sort of thing, and that's part of why I got into the analytical community to begin with regarding games, is because I want substance. I want to watch a video and feel like I just experienced something great. I just learned something great. And really trying to get a lot of value. And that's actually something I want to bring up, because like we've talked about YouTubers like Retropolis Zone, who have, he's been around for a while, and he went right out of the gate with like these, at the time, were like great videos that have still aged pretty okay. Like talking about his like really early works. He just went out of the gate with his own format. He's like, quickies don't cut it. This is what it is. Here we go, and we're just gonna boom, 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 boom. And he's seen great success from that. But while I understand he's working on making a return to making content, which is great, and I'm not saying he's not going to do that or that he shouldn't do that, because he absolutely should. It's just, you can tell that he did burn out. Whether or not that will be permanent, it shows with his uploads and what I've heard, and read from Twitter and stuff. And that's dangerous. Burnout is a dangerous thing. And I feel like, my friend, the SQG review show, pretty much went down the same route. But then that is why I think it's more important about making videos that count rather than getting them out quickly. Now, if we're talking about the algorithm, then it is the other way around, sure. But that's why I love viewers like Leadhead. Now, or content creators like Leadhead. Yeah. Leadhead has been a great friend, new friend of mine, who knew me back when he was smaller than I was, and he was asking for a collab. He actually pretty much did the same thing that you did to me in 2016. He was, you're, around the same size, you're a little bigger than me, I could really use a boost. Would you like to collaborate on something that we both like? And I said yes, and I still intend to do that with him, but of course, it's the same thing where I don't get that done on time. I seem to have an issue with this, of getting working on collabs when the other person wants. Trust me, I don't take pride in that, but he's found immeasurable success. He still gets videos out pretty much every Monday, and they're so insightful. I feel like when I'm clicking on a Leadhead video and I'm listening, I'm watching, I am transported into his mind. I'm looking at his vision. I'm getting the message, and I'm thinking. I'm critically thinking after the video is over. You know? And to me, that is so valuable that I would enjoy spending 15 to 20 minutes on a Monday watching that, as opposed to spending 15 to 20 minutes on a Monday watching this guy reacts to Super Mario 3D All-Stars.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, in terms of value, I will say, like, for me, like, even though it may sound like a bad thing, that, like, oh, you've become a lot more picky about, like, not watching people's reactions or opinions and stuff like that, I still endlessly enjoy, like, everything to do on YouTube relating to comedy and music, objective critical analysis, interactive live streams, everything, man. It's just that I don't feel comfortable with committing myself to watching a video that's not about a video game. It's not about stuff relating to that video game. It's about stuff relating to what someone that has nothing to do with me thinks of that video game. Now, if I were to watch a video of, like, someone reacting to that new Super Mario 3D World video, but not, like, as a reaction, more of, like, an analysis and saying, like, these are things in the game that are changed, or these are, like, new things that are added and stuff like that, I would find that objective viewpoint infinitely more entertaining than someone who's reacting to it and saying that looks cool, or I think, or I wish, or I want.
And I want to make a distinction for the viewers at home. It's not that Sky and I no longer care about the creators behind the content. No. That's totally not true. Again, if I didn't care about Leadhead or, like, Jay's reviews as people, I wouldn't like their content nearly as much, you know. It's more that people, especially with how competitive YouTube gets and how there's a lot of great gaming content out there for every sort of category that you could possibly want, you have to offer something beyond just, I don't like this, I really like this. To me,
something
that is a waste
outside
of
of
time.
Yourself, something that has value to other people. 100%.
Exactly. Like, it's important to value the creator as a person, but that can't be the only thing making your content worthwhile to somebody. Like, oh, I can't wait to see what this person says. I mean, if that's how that person feels as a viewer, that's fine. It's just, I just hope that content is actually giving something conclusive, something interesting, just beyond what that person's opinion is.
Add something real to the conversation.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yes.
And you know, outside of like when people ask, like, how to start a YouTube channel, outside of any advice I can give regarding get a good mic and have good graphic design, really eye-catching thumbnails, and succinct editing, outside of all of that, make sure the purpose of your videos is actually meaningful. Make sure you're adding something to the conversation. Like, yeah, it may not seem like a big difference if you're saying, like, I want this in a game. I like this. I think this. I don't like this. Very, very different from what is in the game. And what objective, more objective stuff. So I will say, like, there are some game design channels on YouTube which I don't care for anymore, because they're a lot about, I like this in game design, I don't like this in game design, this annoys me in game design. And then there's channels like Mark Brown. I love his channel because it's so objective, constantly adding new observations based on information we already know.
Observations are also very important.
Observations based on stuff we already know and, like, are familiar with. adding that to the conversation. That is so valuable to the community, learning, expanding people's vocabulary of game design, even casual people who don't care about game design. You're expanding vocabulary and what is considered good and bad. That creates a much more valuable viewing experience. And I think that if anyone is to start out with making YouTube videos, try to see if your purpose of your videos you can add to the conversation. That is so meaningful, and it would make me 10 times more likely to actually click on the video like if I just see that in my sub box.
I could not agree more, honestly. That is the answer. That is the ultimate answer right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay. Wow. Do we have anything else to add?
Holy smokes, we've been going for a while.
We've been going for quite a while. Well, I guess if we want to start wrapping this up, we should probably clarify, like, you wanted to like end this off with some sort of like where are we now thing, right?
Yeah, so we started, Life of Screens came back with an episode from the two of us talking about how to deal with what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
And I've definitely fallen short of some of those things that I said, to do. And, everyone's had their ups and downs this year. So
self-awareness is the greatest virtue. So
yeah, self-awareness is huge. It's the first step in getting anything done, really.
100,000%, yes. I have definitely become, I'm proud that I have been pretty healthy in terms of keeping myself safe from COVID. I did get a cold for a few days, but it was just 3 days. Nothing bad about that. I've been keeping myself safe. I've been handling all my schoolwork, which I'm going to do more once we finish this episode. I have been figuring out how to boost viewership and figuring out where to focus my creative, what to do with my creative outlet, where to have some creative expression, what I should do to creatively express myself. That's why I'm going to make that community post later today. I have actually started recording a new series with Kyle again. We've started recording it. People in the Discord server may know what it is, and for the rest of the people, it's a surprise, but it's great, very high budget, incredibly happy with it. Woo. I've been doing, trying to work on Twitter commission sheets and Fiverr to get some money and to hone my craft. I think I am in a pretty good spot where I'm slowly making my way towards the goal. Like everything to do with creative expression and boosting viewership, everything is designed so I can push all of this attention towards the big project. And I'm happy. I'm happy about that. The project itself seems to be doing well with these new assets and everything. And I'm in a good place, very good mental place right now. And just being able to say that, I'm smiling. I'm smiling, knowing I'm able to say that in confidence. I'll be able to look back on this podcast and listen to myself say, I am doing good right now. And I'm with people who make me feel like what I'm doing is meaningful. It's not about the fact that I'm not doing that much. Like the quantity of my work isn't so much. It's the quality and the meaningfulness and the lasting impact it will have. I know that is valuable. So I'm in a good place.
Well, that's really wonderful to hear. For me, as for where I am now, it's very convoluted. I'm sort of trying to figure it out myself, but I know I have a lot of schoolwork that's taking up a lot of my time. I don't have a lot of time to decompress, but I'm working it out. This is basically the end of week 3 of the semester, and I'm just trying to figure out how I can get my hobbies revived and talk to my friends more. So I'm working on it, and really I'm just trying to look at the large scope. And I think in terms of the larger scope, I'm actually doing okay. I feel like, I'm going to have, October is going to be better than this month, and November will be better than that. And I think I'm going to end the year pretty well with December. And I'm just going to try and get out as much content as I can and have as much fun while doing so. But eventually I know I will have to publicly, this is public, but I know I'll have to formally address that things didn't go the way they wanted to, but I just hope people will understand my reasons when I have them. And
For sure.
I've been struggling a lot with self-worth recently when it comes to pretty much everything I've been doing. So at this point, I'm just moving along and just trusting that things will work themselves out one by one.
And you know what? If you're able to say in confidence that you think you'll end off such a whirlwind of a year on such a positive note, then I think you're on the right track.
Yeah. No, I do feel confident in that.
Yeah.
I do. I think things are just gonna pick up from here, month by month. We'll end the year well, and I think next year will be Evan's year for sure.
Heck to the yes. So I wanted to end this off with the most important question. Naturally, last time we talked about, last time you were on the podcast, we talked about how coffee is just soup. Well, I wanted to ask, pizza is considered so unhealthy, right? Well, isn't it just like bread and tomato sauce and cheese heated up in an oven to high temperature? Why is it like so unhealthy? Like one slice, it's like a sandwich. It's like 2 pieces of bread.
Well,
and like some tomato mix and random veggies and meat toppings. Like I think that is a good healthy sandwich, and I don't see what. Yeah,
I think you actually answered your own question right there. It's the bread, the cheese, and the tomato sauce, and that's why it's unhealthy.
But like it's bread, but those are
maybe taken on their own. They're not too bad, but combined and add a
is
lot
it
of
just
cooking
like,
grease. Then,
is it just too many calories and like sugary tomato mix and stuff like that? It's just too much.
I mean, there are definitely more healthy alternatives to all three of those. You could probably make a pretty healthy pizza, but the conventional Italian pizza is not exactly.
Well, I guess yeah. So like if someone were to eat, if I brought you a box with 8 sandwiches in it, and 2 people sat down and ate 3 or 4 a piece, that'd be a little insane.
Okay.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, you know what else? You know what'll really make you blow your mind?
Uh-huh.
When I was in Italy in 2016, I ordered it. What? That's not even the joke. Calm down.
I know where it's going. Yeah, tell me.
Okay, well, I ordered a pizza.
I'm sorry, just me laughing at like the setup.
It's been almost 2 hours. Okay, all right.
I'm sorry.
Here we go. So I ordered a pizza at a restaurant in Italy.
Okay.
And it was so soggy that it was basically soup. So the real answer is, I've had pizza soup before.
Pizza soup? That is never mind. I did not see that coming. Pizza soup.
I knew you wouldn't. But
oh, what? My mind is
but it was
blown.
a total mess. It basically became soup, and I was thinking, well, if coffee's soup, then I've got some news for you.
Oh God, you just changed the game.
Yes. Thank you, Italy. Thank you.
Thank you, Italy. I thought you were supposed to completely like radicalize and improve my opinion of pizza, and you did the unthinkable. You changed it.
I turned it into a liquid.
Oh.